Khandelwal. In this video, we are going to talk about how you should plan for your risk. But wait, one second, what is risk? Let's say you lost your job and you are unemployed for 3-4 months, or maybe you are hospitalized and your bill is approx 2 lakh. Then what you will do? Maybe you will withdraw all your money from the savings account. Is it a sensible decision? Well, to protect yourself from uncertain and unforeseen risk, you have to do some kind of advanced planning, and in this video I'm going to talk about how can you do that. To plan beforehand, we should understand the concept of risk planning, and this brings me to the first question, that is, what is risk? Risk is basically an uncertain or unforeseen event that can have a huge impact on our finances. Also, whenever any unforeseen event happens, then the magnitude is something that we can't even imagine. So overall, a risk is a loss for all of us, and the major loss is financial loss. So to save yourself from any kind of a loss or any kind of a risk, we have two components, that is emergency fund and insurance. So first of all, let's talk about emergency fund. What is emergency fund? Let's say you lost a job and you need a money to run a house. Then from where you are going to withdraw the money? Are you going to withdraw from some long-term investments like your equity mutual funds, shares, public provident fund, EPF, etc.? I mean, all these are long-term investments. Or you are going to withdraw from bank savings account? Or are you going to break your bank FD? Tell me, from where you are going to withdraw the money when you will lost a job? Well, this is a very important question that we should ask from ourselves. Most of the people don't even have savings in any of the long-term investments too. So if you are not saving, then please start saving at least. So these are the long-term investments what I talked about, and from these instruments we should not withdraw money whenever we face a huge financial crunch, or maybe when we are not able to run our house. Then what will come to our rescue? It is emergency fund. From name, it is clearly visible that this fund is available for the emergency situations. Now the question is, why do we need emergency fund? The major reason is that anything can happen at any time, and maybe at that point of time we don't have a regular income through which we can run our day-to-day expenses. So to make sure that when we are not having a good cash flow, we create a corpus in some instrument where we can withdraw the money whenever we need it. And the need is something when we don't have a regular cash flow. And where should we invest this emergency fund? Should we invest in a long-term instruments? No. It should be ideally kept in bank savings account, but the interest rate is very low over there. You can even keep this amount in a bank FD, but make sure the maturity period is not too huge, like a 5-year or 10-year. Don't go for a long-term FDs. And the most importantly, I am kind of a prefer liquid mutual funds too. Now the question is how you can create the emergency corpus and how much amount should I keep in this emergency fund. For this, we can assume two situations. The first is if you have a financial dependence. So let's say I'm earning and maybe there are few members who are dependent on me. They are not earning, but whatever I'm earning, I'm feeding to them through my money. So basically I have dependent. And so in this case, your emergency fund corpus should be of at least like 1 year expenses. And the second one is if you have no financial dependence. And example is me, I don't have major financial dependence. So whatever I earn, I only consume. So for this, I don't have to create an emergency fund for at least 1 year. It can be like from 3 to 6 months. I think for me, this is sufficient. So yeah, you have to see these two major things. You have to see how many people are dependent on you. Accordingly, you should plan your emergency fund. Now the question is, it is very difficult to create a corpus. Obviously, when you want to create a huge corpus, it is a challenging task. But through time, start saving more so that you can build this corpus. For example, whenever you receive any bonus amount or some extra cash, you get a huge cash, then make sure you don't splurge. Invest it in an emergency fund so that in emergency situation you will be saved. I hope emergency fund is clear. Now let's talk about the second part, that is insurance planning. So under insurance planning, we have mainly two insurance, that is life insurance and health insurance, that almost each and every person should take. So let's understand what insurance is. Insurance is basically to protect yourself from any adverse risk. One second, you must be thinking emergency fund also protects us from risk. Then how come insurance is different from it? Well, in emergency fund, you are the person who is responsible for creating all the corpus. But what happens in insurance, there are a lot of people that actually come together. So let's say there are 100 people and they decide, okay, there's some kind of a risk that can come anytime and the financial pressure will be huge. So what they will do, all these 100 people will decide and put 100 rupees in one basket. And they just agree to it. Whoever faces any kind of a risk, they will take that money. So let's say the probability of facing a huge loss is 5%. So from 100 people, the probability is that only 5 people will suffer. Obviously, all 100 people will not suffer. Then what that particular group will do, they will say, okay, we created this corpus so that anyone who faces the loss will take money from that particular pool. So the 5 people have suffered a loss, so each and every individual will take, let's say, 2000 rupees. So this is called a concept of insurance, that I am only putting rupees 100 from my pocket, but I will only get the money when I have faced some kind of a major loss. So in this situation, you will see only 500 people received some kind of amount and the remaining 95 didn't get anything. But these 100 rupees that they have paid was not a huge burden for them. It was like, okay, we'll pay. If we will suffer a loss, then the entire society will help us to protect us from this particular financial pressure. So while insurance concept also works like that, there are n number of people in this country, they can contribute a small amount in a form of a premium. So each and every individual contributes some amount, and if any individual faces some kind of a loss, or maybe one is hospitalized, then from that particular pool, that amount is given to that particular person. So in this, whenever we talk about insurance, there are a lot of limits, a lot of certain conditions. So for example, if I say I have covered my risk up to rupees 10 lakh, then if my bill is approximately 12 lakh, then the insurance company will pay my loss up to 10 lakh only. They will not pay for extra 2 lakh. So that's why we have to be very careful while choosing any insurance plan. So now let's talk about the life insurance. What is life insurance? So let's say there is a family and the only bread earner is husband. Now what happens if he dies? What will happen to his family? They have to struggle financially because husband was the only bread earner in their family. So let's say if this person would have taken an insurance cover of rupees 1 crore, then what would have happened? After his demise, insurance company would have given that 1 crore rupees to his family, so that even after the death of the bread earner, his family can survive easily. But there is one important myth that I have to clear. People think that life insurance for each and every one. For example, in this case, there is a children. So let's say if they have taken an insurance cover for the child, and imagine if child dies, then even if they get a 1 crore rupees, obviously it's a huge advantage for them. I'm not saying there's not necessarily that child will die soon. But the problem is that he is not a bread earner. Even if the child dies, the family can sustain financially. So life insurance is mostly taken on the bread earner only. So what about the children? So whatever amount you pay as a premium, obviously if you're buying an insurance, you are paying some amount to them. So instead of buying life insurance for kids, so better you invest that money in some kind of instruments, so that after a particular point you can get a huge return also. So be careful while taking life insurance. Please don't fall into this trap that life insurance is for each and every one of us. Now the question is, how much ideally I should take an insurance cover? To exactly know how much insurance you need, you have to do some kind of a calculations also. But in this video, I'm going to talk about the major thumb rule, that is 10 times of your annual salary. Let's say your annual salary is rupees 10 lakh, then just multiply it by 10. So overall you need a cover of for at least 1 crore. Remember, this is a thumb rule. if you are aged maybe 35 or 40, then better you consult a financial planner. They will do all types of calculations and tell you exactly how much cover you need. But it's a good thumb rule that you can start with. Now let's come to the health insurance part. Health insurance is for each and every one of us. It is used, this amount is used whenever we are hospitalized. So let's say I have admitted to a hospital and my bill is approx 5 lakh. Then I have to dig into my savings to pay for the hospital bill. So it's always better to buy a health insurance plan so that whenever anything happens, then insurance company will pay the hospital bill on your behalf. Ideally, if I go with a thumb rule, then your health insurance cover should range between 5 to 10 lakhs. It's a thumb rule. It can also vary depending on an individual to individual. So yeah, well, that's all for today, and I hope you have understood the concept of emergency fund and insurance planning, and they both help you to plan for your risk. They save you from the major financial loss. So make sure these two components are included in your financial plan even before making any investments. Investments are futile if both of these things are not placed. So make sure both of these components are on a right place and then you think of investments. Yeah, well, that's all for today. And if you like this video, then please do like it. And if you don't want to miss any videos related to personal finance, then make sure you don't forget to subscribe the channel, hit the bell icon button. And if you have any questions related to personal finance, then for this, we have a Facebook group called Money Matters. Please go and join it. Link is in description. I'll be happy to solve all your queries. Thank you so much.